Hello! Today I will be doing a video on colouring pencils. I will be colouring in one side of the picture with my new ARTEZA pencils and colouring the other half with my Crayola pencils that I've actually had since I was about 12 years old, and I haven't used any colouring pencils since, so this should make for a very interesting video. So of course the first thing to do is sharpen all 48 pencils. I can't do this. Oh. So I haven't actually used colouring pencils for a really long time, and I know like the correct way to colour with them is to use a lot of light layers and hold the pencil quite close to the edge, but I'm far too impatient and also not good at following rules, so I kind of did a mixture of holding it close away, using light pressure and also using hard pressure. But to be fair, these pencils were really nice in the sense that they weren't too hard. I wouldn't call them creamy, but they were quite soft, which means I could easily put on colour onto the page. And then the really nice thing about these is that I could layer them really well. I think you'll notice with the Crayola side is that it was really difficult for me to layer colour upon colour, and I found it really difficult to get any sort of intense dark shade, whereas when I was using the ARTEZA pencils I found that it was quite easy. You know, these pencils really lend themselves to blending and using lots of different layers. But I suppose these comparisons aren't really that fair. Crayola aren't artist products and they're not pretending to be, so you know, I say if you want to use Crayola, just use them. See, this might be a pro or a con depending on how you look at it, but the ARTEZA pencils are very bright and intense, and the Crayola pencils by comparison are quite muted. Now, at times when I needed a muted colour, for example on her dress, when I was using the ARTEZA pencils, I had to mix about 3 or 4 different colours, whereas with the Crayola pencils, I just used one simple colour. But of course, this is a pro. When I was doing the hair, the ARTEZA pencils were much more vibrant and her hair looked just more rich and alive. I'm not quite used to using even pressure because sometimes I think you can see I make too much of a hard stroke and you can see a harsh line in my colouring. It's more apparent with the Crayola ones because they're a bit more, I'm going to say scratchy, but yeah, considering this is my first serious attempt at using colour pencils in a really long time, I'm quite happy with the way it came out. I tried to use as many different colours as possible in one picture so I could really get a feel for what the ARTEZA pencils were like, but I really wish I had a chance to test out the blues and the oranges a little bit more. I also apologise for the amount of shaking that my camera is showing. It's because my camera tripod stand, it's attached to my desk, it's clamped on, so whenever I make a large movement with my hand, the camera also shakes, so I'm really sorry about that. I got the idea for this picture from a photo of a woman in medieval clothing on Pinterest. I really quite like medieval art and knights and fantasy art and whatnot, and I didn't really do much of it myself, but I'm hoping in the future that I will do more pictures like this. Yeah, and I saw the picture, I really liked her hairstyle. I will link it down below, but I really liked it and thought I'd base my picture off this particular photo. One side done, now we can begin the Crayola side. I will mention that My Crayola black pencil is beyond repair. I mean, I tried to sharpen it a gazillion times and the lead kept breaking. So I think on the butterfly is the only place that I use a black. I will be using the ARTEZA pencil, but for the rest of it, I will just be using the Crayola pencils. Funny thing about the Crayola pencils is that because they're quite hard, it's very easy to get a light wash of colour without it becoming uneven or streaky. The problem starts to appear when you want to build a lot of layers of colour, which is quite hard with these pencils. But I mean, it is doable. I did manage to build up some colour with a lot of pressure, but you can still do it. I mean, Crayola isn't a bad product, and if it's the only thing you have, you can definitely make a decent looking picture. So I wouldn't be too quick to throw them out. The thing with cheaper artist products, they're not necessarily bad. You can still do really nice work with it. It's just that you may have to work a bit more against the medium, and that's all there really is, to be honest. This is probably a really silly thing, seeing as I'm doing a video on colouring pencils, but my sharpener just wouldn't work anymore on the ARTEZA pencils, and it became a huge pain to do detail work. I only really experienced this on her dress and skin, as they were such large areas to colour, so my pencils went blunt quite quickly. Oh, and also on the leaves, and because I only had one sharpener, I basically had to deal with blunt pencils. And I think it's better to use sharper pencils because blunt pencils kind of show the tooth of the paper, and also where I've pressed down really hard on during my sketch. I think you can see that more obviously on her sleeve. One thing that I noticed is that with the ARTEZA pencils, I didn't have one single pencil breaking on me, but with the Crayola pencils, I had quite a few. Now, that may be because the ARTEZA pencil's lead is actually glued to their barrel, but I think it's more likely that I've had the Crayola pencil since I was really young, and I didn't really have much care, I suppose, for my art supplies, and I probably just dropped them a good few times or bashed them around, so that's probably my fault. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm really happy with the way I managed to get both sides to have approximately the same colours. I mean, I did have to mix and match a few different pencils to get them to look the same, but I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. Because the Crayola set that I have only has 36 pencils, but I only counted 33, so I'm pretty sure I lost 3 pencils. And the ARTEZA set has 48. The fact that, you know, the colours were approximately similar was really surprising. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you want to make decent pictures, you can do it with Crayola for sure, but if you just want a bit more of a softer experience with more vibrant colours, I'd go for ARTEZA. Now, they are a bit more pricey, you do get more colours, and they are an artist product, but I'm really happy with them, and I probably will start doing more coloured pictures in the future now that I have them. I mean, I think both sides look incredibly similar, and I'd have to really scrutinize each part of the picture to really determine which side was Crayola and which side was ARTEZA. So, you know, I think that speaks enough for itself. I don't really want to bash Crayola because I feel like a lot of people want to prefer Crayola, but I will say that there is a lot more waxy build-up and residue, and so you can see when I layer colours on top of each other, you can see a sort of scratchiness and the colours aren't as intense. But what I'm really trying to say is that overall, they're not bad, and if you have them, you can make them work. So let me know which side you preferred, if you could even tell which side was which. And also check out my giveaway because I'm nearing 100 subscribers. Thank you all very much for subscribing to me. check out my Instagram. I will post information there. Let me know what you think of this video, and as usual, what you'd like to see in the future. Thank you for watching my video. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye!